A chroeso I chi gyd. Good afternoon and welcome to this virtual planning meeting. We're here this afternoon for a single item agenda. But first of all, are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Hughes? Councillor Hughes, you've got your hand raised. Councillor Gareth Hughes? He's not responding. Can I have a motion to heed the requirements of the Human Rights Act?
Sorry, Chair, Councillor Yo's got his hand up as well.
I can't. There we go. Chair?
Yes, Councillor Hughes?
Sorry, Chair.
I think we're having some technical
This is really odd. I know you're in the Welsh. Yeah, I know you're in the Welsh translation preamble for some reason.
Okay. Councillor Yo?
Sorry, Chair. I'm wondering if it would be useful if everyone apart from committee members temporarily switch their cameras off to see if it's a bandwidth problem.
Good idea.
Hi, can you hear me now, Chair?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, Councillor Hughes, yes.
Sorry, Chair. My sound was funny. I wasn't trying to declare an interest. Apologies, Chair. I couldn't hear you properly, and after Ffion finished, I could hear the Welsh translation being repeated through my microphone. It was.
Yeah, we're having a problem with Councillor Hughes' connection.
It was really strange.
No, we're having a problem with Councillor Hughes' connection.
Apologies to cause any problem.
Are any other members of the committee having any issues with their connections?
I have to read. Can I suggest Councillor Hughes reboots his iPad or whatever device he uses? And he may, I think enable be better when I was having a problem 5, 10, 15 minutes ago.
Councillor Hughes, can you try leaving the meeting and reach?
I think it's possibly with his microphone, Chair. So he could possibly unplug his microphone as well and try it without that. His feedback by the sounds of it.
Okay. Okay. Right, we'll proceed now.
Chair, can I give my what do you call it? The
declaration.
Nearly forgot what it was called then. It's only a personal one. I work for an electricity distribution company. In the department I work, I'm just administration. But I have, obviously we plug things into the network just like you plug things into your house, a device, you know. So I have ordered things and done work for engineers, in other words, procured things so that
it's a personal interest, Councillor Yo.
It's a personal interest, but I thought it was worth mentioning, even though I'm pretty low administration, I don't make any decisions. I have purchased items so that the Enviroparks here when I've been plugged into the network, so that's purely. Sorry, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Yo. Right, can I have a motion then to heed the requirements of the Human Rights Act?
I move, Chair.
Is that seconded?
Helio. I second that, Chair.
And any dissenting? No. And the same for the Human Rights Act, please.
I move, Chair.
Is that seconded?
Helio.
All members in favour? Okay, well, we're here today then to consider application number 200986. This is the construction and use of a stack with associated pipeworks and a continuous emissions monitoring system gantry with ladder access at 5th Avenue, Hirwaun Industrial Estate, Hirwaun. Now, we have a number of public speakers today who I will call in turn. and I want to assure you all that your submissions will be fully considered by the members of this committee. You will each have up to 5 minutes to speak to committee. And I will keep you to the 5 minutes because there are quite a number of you who wish to speak. So it will be a lot of information for members to absorb. So, it is best if you can keep to that 5 minutes. The first person I'll call in is Mr. Carl Craddock, who's the agent for the applicant. So, Mr. Craddock, you have 5 minutes to address committee when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon. I am Carl Craddock, a planner with Savills, and I've worked on the EnviroParks project from the outset. It's an exciting project because rather than dumping waste in landfills or burning it, EnviroParks wants to extract as much recyclable material from the waste stream as possible, and then process what is left using an advanced gasification process. Now, in this process, the waste is heated to a point where it emits a gas that can then be used as an efficient source of renewable heat and power. So it's a clever approach. Now, as you know, RCT and the Brecon Beacons National Park Authority have already granted planning permission for the gasification plant, including a 45-metre high stack. And all the current application seeks to do is to allow EnviroParks to reposition the stack to a better location on the site and to increase its height. Now, this would bring 3 benefits and a penalty. The purpose of the taller stack is to improve the dispersion of emissions to the atmosphere. So simply put, the higher you are, the stronger the wind. And dispersing emissions more effectively is plainly a good thing. The second benefit is that a taller stack would further reduce the potential for nutrient nitrogen deposition on nearby protected grasslands, including the Blind Cannon Special Area of Conservation. And the third benefit is that EnviroParks proposes to add an inspection gantry to the lower part of the stack, assisting emissions monitoring and inspection, both by EnviroParks and NRW. So there are 3 positive benefits, but they come at the expense of a taller structure that is more prominent in some local views. And the stack design responds to this in the following ways. First, the stack would be very slender, less than 4 meters in diameter, and it would be finished in a smooth, seamless cladding. Second, EnviroParks commissioned a detailed assessment of local landscape colour to inform a colour scheme for the stack. And as before, if you're very close to the stack, you will see it. But from further afield, it is designed to blend into the background. The stack would not need warning lights, but if this were to change, infrared lights invisible to the naked eye would be used. Now, in our submission, we have included a plan that compares the zone of visual influence for the 45-metre stack that already has permission and the proposed 90-metre stack. Now, because Hywine Industrial Estate is surrounded by rising terrain on most sides, there is only an incremental increase in the visibility of the proposed stack compared with the approved one. Now, remembering that the site is on a large industrial estate with other tall structures existing and proposed, we think that this incremental increase in stack visibility is worthwhile in view of the benefits. And neither BBNPA nor NRW is objecting to the proposals. Now, there has been much public interest in this planning application, but it's fair to say that there has also been much misunderstanding. The principle of the EnviroParks development is not open to question, having already been granted planning permission. The operation of the plant, including its emissions, would be controlled closely by NRW under an environmental permit. So the stack is not a new addition to the scheme. A stack has always been included, and it is precisely out of concern for environmental protection that the amended design has been proposed. So for all these reasons, we ask the committee to consider the proposals favourably and approve the current application. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Craddock. I'll now go and call in order the objectors to the scheme. I'll first call in the member for the Senedd, Vicky Howells. 5 minutes to address committee when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee, for affording me the opportunity to address you today. I'd like to start by saying that I fully respect both the powers and expertise of local authority members on this planning committee. As such, this is the first time I've asked to address the committee. But I've asked to do so because I believe that this application for a 90-metre stack is one that could have significant and far-reaching consequences for the whole of Cynon Valley and beyond if it's approved. Let's start by considering in relative terms how tall 90 metres actually is. Many members will recall the two residential tower blocks, the Hirwaun Flats, long considered a major blot on the landscape. On the day that they were demolished, thousands of residents crowded nearby roads and pavements as far away as Llywcoed to cheer and applaud as the much-hated towers were blown up. Those towers were just 35 metres high. Electricity pylons are also considered a blot on the landscape, so much so that the National Grid is embarking on a scheme to move pylon lines in areas of local beauty underground, including in the Brecon Beacons National Park. The height of a pylon, between 44 and 55 metres. And finally, the Statue of Liberty may make an impressive colossal visual impact at the entrance to New York Harbour, but would the residents of Ricos and Hirwaun really want it on the edge of their villages? I think not. The Statue of Liberty is the closest visual representation of the height of the proposed EnviroPark stack, standing at 93 metres. A stack of this height is without doubt visually intrusive. And that is a point recognised not just by those who have formally registered their opposition to the stack, but also by the developers themselves and by Brecon Beacons National Park, by the independent landscape advisors and by the planning officer in his report. And no amount of fancy graded paintwork and cladding can mitigate the visual intrusion that this stack will create. It is my contention that the visual impact of this stack would have a significant and unacceptably negative impact on the well-being of local residents. Furthermore, the location of the stack at the gateway to the Cynon Valley would, I believe, have a devastating impact on the economic potential of the area, long recognised as a strategic development site, and a point underlined in a report by the Bevan Foundation published just last month, entitled More Than a Bypass, Unleashing the Potential of the A465 Heads of the Valleys Road. We all know that Cynon Valley has long cried out for large-scale economic regeneration, and the former tower site has long been recognised for its potential in delivering this, sitting as it does next to the only trans-European road network in Wales, with excellent connectivity to the Midlands, West Wales, Island and beyond. The completion of the restoration works at Tower and the imminent opening of Zipworld as an anchor tourist attraction means that we are right on the cusp of unlocking the area's full potential. Tower Region and Hargreaves Ltd have shared with me exciting plans to redevelop this vast site, which is more than 4 times the size of the village of Hirwaun in its entirety, and with a plateau designated for commercial use coming in at 101 acres. Unlike Zipworld, which has a unique rough and ready industrial image, other tourist attractions or accommodation facilities are highly unlikely to want a 90-metre stack as a close neighbour, so will choose not to come here, undermining our once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for large-scale redevelopment, economic stimulus and job creation on this strategic development site. Furthermore, these schemes would have a positive knock-on effect through the area, regenerating more employment in the hospitality sector and in the local supply chain. And these are key benefits which we overlook at our peril. I note the planning officer's assertion that we must look for factual evidence that the stack would hinder regeneration rather than a suggestion that it might do so. However, I would say to the committee that this is a classic chicken and egg situation. And until a developer chooses not to locate you, we will not have the factual evidence that we need. So do we gamble with the future of our valley, with the employment prospects of its residents, or can we simply apply common sense? We all know in our hearts and our heads that this stack will deter future investment and stifle the huge potential for tourism in our valley, as well as having an unacceptable negative visual impact upon the lives of local residents. For those reasons, I ask that the committee fully rejects this planning application at all stages. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I call next Member of Parliament, Beth Winter, please? 5 minutes to address the committee.
Sorry, Chair, I did ask to go at the end of the objectors, sorry, so that I could listen to the speeches and summarise.
I've got my list, I'm sorry, Beth, I'd have to call you in now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I want to begin by paying tribute to the hard work and commitment of the Valleys for Tourism Not Trash campaign. They've worked tirelessly to press for the appropriate scrutiny of this application. I want to draw your attention to the Welsh Government's strategy document published this week, Beyond Recycling, a strategy to make the circular economy in Wales a reality. This states that the Welsh Government will, and I quote, place a moratorium on any future large-scale energy from waste developments, as the increase in recycling and reduction in waste already seen means that we will not need any new large-scale energy from waste infrastructure to deal with the residual waste generated in Wales. This landmark strategic document has a fundamental impact on this application, and so I would wish members of this committee to give due consideration to its content. Now, I have opposed the proposed Enviroparks development since its inception 12 years ago and was an active member of the original action group in 2010. We lost our campaign at that time. The applicant subsequently built an industrial unit, but then stopped, and nothing more happened aside from subsequent planning applications revisions. So there's currently no operational energy from waste development plant at 5th Avenue in Hirwaun Industrial Estate, only the shell of an empty industrial unit. And now here we are today with an application to build a 90-metre stack without commitment or definitive timelines on the part of the applicant to bring the site into operation. I understand the committee's main focus is on the visual impact and emissions in making its determination, and representations will be made highlighting the negative visual impact of the stack, which I fully support. The 90-metre stack will dominate the local area and will be a blight on the landscape. It will be visible from some of the highest peaks and largest visitor attractions within the national park. Particularly concerning is the potential impact the proposed stack will have on the International Dark Sky Reserve status of the national park. And while there may not have been objections from NRW or Brecon Beacons National Park, both have raised significant concerns. The Cynon Valley has been synonymous with heavy and polluting industries. Now there's a genuine opportunity to achieve a post-industrial, environmentally friendly economy based upon a naturally beautiful landscape. And a host of initiatives are being developed, including Zip World, Planetarium, and others, which can provide an exciting and clean tourist industry. The environment stack and plant is not in keeping with this vision and poses a significant blight on the landscape and can detract from all the positive work currently being undertaken and act as a barrier to people wanting to visit the Cynon Valley. In making a determination today, members should expect to be presented with all of the critical and contextual considerations, and only when members understand why this 90-metre stack is so necessary, when the applicant's previous application indicated that a 45 stack was adequate, can members be expected to make an informed decision on the outcome, including the visual impact. I've spoken to a range of local and national experts, met with planning officers as well as the applicant to try and gain an objective understanding of why this 90-metre stack is needed, and I've yet to receive a conclusive answer. When I met the applicant, I was told it was about future-proofing. They stated that the sole purpose of this application is to ring-fence the business against future tightening up of air quality regulations. When I pressed what these new air quality regulations were, the applicant could not provide me with these details. Serious concerns remain around noise, odour, potential air and water pollution caused by emissions from the proposed stack. The development is located within very close proximity of a site of scientific interest as well as a reservoir, and heavy traffic movement will increase. I've got concerns the stack will increase the buildup of pollutants in the atmosphere in the short, medium and long term. Members also need to be aware that if planning consent is granted today, the applicant will be able to build the stack just like the empty industrial unit it built in 2010, and that stack will then stand there, potentially, an eyesore on the doorstep of the national park, and we could be left with this blight on the landscape for no reason. I do not feel the members have been presented with all the facts and explanations necessary, and given the history of this initiative, what guarantees do we have that the applicant will secure the funding and consent required from such bodies as NRW and Welsh Water to make the stack operational? None at present. A key tenet of planning policy is the need for public engagement. As I mentioned at the outset, there's been a very active and vigorous campaign opposing the plant, which has gained significant public support, with thousands of people signing a petition. The people of Cynon Valley do not want its stack, and we must listen to them. There are many unanswered questions, and public opinion is clearly opposed to this development. It will have a negative impact on the visual environment, detract from environmentally friendly tourist developments, and has the clear potential to increase traffic and other pollutants in the area. And finally, it is against the tide of current Welsh Government thinking as outlined in the Beyond Recycling Strategy document. I therefore implore members of this committee to reject this application. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you. We now move on to the next public speaker. This is Mrs. Maura Wakefield. Yep, okay. Mrs. Wakefield, when you're ready, 5 minutes to speak to committee.
Prynhawn da. I have lived in Rigos all my life and in Holt Road adjacent to this estate for the last 35 years. Sadly, in this time, I have seen a worrying proliferation of new developments that emit harmful pollutants and particulate matter into the air. We are vaguely assured that each polluter is within, quote, permitted levels, but no one has answered our question concerning the cumulative effect that all such permitted levels add up to in one human body. Particulate matter is well known to pervade the body's vital organs and cause chronic health problems and ultimately death, with babies, elderly people and people with respiratory diseases, sadly a prevalent reminder of our industrial past, all worse affected. The council has its own environmental concerns regarding the estate, organised a meeting to form a plan, but locals have not been involved with their own experiences, and this isn't even mentioned in the report. A staggering number of objections has been received from local residents, and at the last count, almost 5,000 have signed the petition. This equates to double the number of constituents in Rigos, Penderyn, Hirwaun and Pen y Waun who came out and voted in the 2017 County Borough election. And all this under lockdown and a pandemic. Some might say impressive, others a cynical ploy to get the application through when we are all focused on fighting this deadly virus. This current application is said to stand alone, but the stack does not. It is attached to a huge gasifier, an incinerator by any other name, and has emissions which will be released via its almost 12-foot wide aperture at the top. These include particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, and chloride and sulfur dioxide, which are all known to have significant effects on health. Also to be released will be carcinogens. Yes, carcinogens. Dioxins and furans among some of them, for which there are no safe levels. I refer back to the cumulative effect point I mentioned earlier. This is without consideration of the Clean Air Plan Wales that says transport is responsible for a significant proportion of our pollution, and transport will feed that stack. Very worrying for us here today, Welsh Government and Natural Resources Wales has repeatedly stated that the applicant has not applied for an EPR permit, either by a twin-track planning and permit application together or a permit beforehand. How can a decision be made if the applicant will not inform NRW or have a dialogue with them? NRW even states that the stack has not been shown to be optimum and could be subject to change. After 10 years, this applicant still does not and has not applied for a permit, and that includes 2 earlier alterations to heights and processes. How can decisions be made on vague, ever-changing and some non-existent or flawed data? Even their meteorological data is based on sites at Senny Bridge in Cardiff, 14 to 20 miles away. NRW also has significant concerns about the Blaencanon SAC with nitrogen, but I believe significant concern should also apply to my own and other residents' health, and that exposure to these harmful chemicals make us any less valuable as humans? Brecon Beacons National Park have also their own concerns, stating it will impact on their own special qualities of outstanding natural beauty and cultural heritage. I couldn't have put that better myself in regard to my own neighbourhood and locality. Indeed, RCT agree in their tourism policy, calling the views from Rhugos Mountain world class. Unless this 300-foot vertical monstrosity is painted in invisible ink, no amount of so-called mitigating colours will make it acceptable. I will leave the last word, which I fully endorse, to a council officer who said in a BBC interview today, "It is not possible to hide a structure of this size and scale." I'll end by saying our villages and RCT generally deserve better. Greenpeace data states these types of developments are more likely to be situated in deprived areas like ours than anywhere else. The pandemic has also shown how years of deprivation in areas like this has impacted on the soaring death toll with the virus. Councillors, today you have the opportunity to protect our communities and, more importantly, our health. Is this the legacy we want to leave to our future generations? I urge you to reject this application. Diolch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wakefield. Mrs. Tracy Sweetland Hodges? Yes? Oh, yes.
Chair.
I can see you now. Yes, you've got 5 minutes when you're ready. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and Councillors. The proposed stack at 90 metres tall would present an unacceptable intrusion into the landscape. The development site is located at the boundary with Brecon Beacons National Park, with its enhanced landscape attributes, which in fact extend outside the park boundary to include the area to the escarpment slopes of the mountainous ridge to the south of the site. I'm fortunate enough to live in one of 3 national parks here in Wales and reap the rewards as quoted by Brecon Beacons National Park, one of Britain's breathing spaces. And in these unprecedented times, they have played an even greater part in local people's health and well-being. In the National Parks position statement, the 3 national parks in Wales state that they deliver health benefits for the nation, providing intrinsic health benefits such as improved air quality and taking a unique place for the role of addressing health and well-being. Providing settings for activities, promoting health and well-being, including supporting good quality environments and flourishing diverse ecosystem essential to maintain clean air, drinking water and land. The proposed stack is higher and will be higher again with the plume which it emits. Nothing in the visuals refer to this. The visual consultant has confirmed that the plume will be visible during certain weather conditions, which we assert are common in our area. And whilst visible, the plume will magnify the impact of the 90-metre stack. A 90-metre high stack would provide an unnatural vertical element to the area, which would disrupt views from and into the Brecon Beacons National Park and would constitute an incongruous focal point on a background of calm countryside from many viewing positions. It would break the skyline from many of these positions and be the only non-natural visible element to do so, increasing the perception of overwhelming industrial force against a background of high-quality landscape. Electric wireframe pylons are the only significant elevated industrial component of local landscape and have been acknowledged as a detracting element in the area. The proposed stack would, as a solid structure of considerably greater height and impact, overwhelm their influence as a negative landscape component. The documents supplied as part of the planning application process contain numerous, often subjective comments about the visual impact of the proposed stack. It is considered that these and the supporting photomontage collections and wireframe diagrams do not and cannot provide a full measure of the enormity of this visual intrusive development, which has to be considered unacceptable in the full context of the area. We challenge the accuracy of the visuals supplied by EWL regarding the height of the stack and state that the effect on local immunity would be much more significant than EWL suggests and will be much more incrementally visible within both the locality and the parks. This challenge is reinforced by the White Consultant Visual Impact Assessment, which also states that applicants consultants understated the levels of effects of the increased height of the stack from some locations. Of great concern to residents is that RCT relied on visual assessments when granting previous consents. The visual impact of this stack is not only detrimental to our stunning scenery, the visual impact of the stack will also have a detrimental effect on our local amenity and to impact on our health and well-being. As a Valleys ambassador and a holiday homeowner, I have seen the rewards that come by offering accommodation right here, by offering tourists a place to stay away from the hustle and bustle city folk live every day. A lot of investment has been taking place in the last few years, with new businesses being established within our community, and with more sustainable plans to come, not just to make it attractive to our visitors, but for our residents too. The population of the Cynon Valley are known to be significantly disadvantaged position in health terms, when compared to most other parts of Wales. This has been confirmed by the latest report on the Welsh Index of Multiple Deprivation, which is an official measure of relative deprivation for smaller areas in Wales, and includes assessments of health and other deprivation factors. Health in this wider context should be considered as more simply the absence of disease, and was more properly defined by the World Health Organization in '86 as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Health issues can be assessed by looking at physical, psychological and social aspects. The proposed development its visual impact is likely to have negative impacts on each of these.
Okay.
Do I need to stop, Chair?
Yes, you've just had your 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I'll call in Mrs. Claire Rees now. Mrs. Rees, yes, if you're ready, 5 minutes when you're ready then.
How do I get it?
Okay, Mrs. Rees?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to change it.
Yeah, you're fine. If you can stop.
Okay,
yes,
right, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. In the Welsh Government document, Welcome to Wales, Priorities for the Visitor Economy, David Ellis Thomas states that tourism connects our country with people from across the world. It makes a positive contribution to all aspects of Welsh life, creating prosperity, confidence, employment, cultural regeneration, environmental appreciation, health benefits and fun. This is something that the northern part of the Cynon Valley needs, identified in your local development plan as part of the strategy for the heads of the valleys. According to RCT's tourism strategy, tourism is one of the fastest growing sectors in the country and benefits many rural areas as the main driver of economy and source of employment. RCT's visitor numbers reached a record 1.6 million day visitors in 2018 and was estimated that tourism was worth 172 million to the RCT economy, employing more than 1,400 people. The area surrounding this proposed 90-metre stack is uniquely placed to enhance those figures in future years. And if it goes ahead, a fantastic opportunity for a generation in our area will be lost, and our villages will miss out on a chance of a better, greener and more sustainable future in accordance with the goals set out in the Wellbeing of the Future Generations Act 2015. We are already a popular tourist destination, being on the edge of the Brecon Beacons National Park, with much to offer in our own right. And Planning Policy Wales 2.3 states that the planning system should create sustainable places which are attractive, sociable, accessible, active, secure, welcoming, healthy and friendly. Development proposals should create the conditions to bring people together, making them want to live, work and play in the areas with a sense of place and well-being, creating prosperity for all. This 90-metre stack will do none of those things. A quick Google search of the Rigos viewpoint takes you to an overall rating of 4.8 out of 5 from 282 reviews, with every single one of them referenced in the spectacular views. It is this spectacular landscape which attracts tourists, and a 90-metre stack at this location would have a detrimental effect on the interface between us and the national park. The Planning Authority needs to support the sense of community pride in our villages, and in doing so, support the health and well-being of our residents. This 90-metre chimney would be higher than any building in Cardiff city centre, and if it goes ahead, the views of the beacons will be spoiled and no amount of paint from a colour chart will hide it. Zipworld has reported contributing a staggering 251 million to the North Wales economy during its first 5 years of business. The residents and existing small businesses of Rhugos, Hirwaun and Penderyn have already been enthused by this development, and many residents are looking to set up new businesses, as well as revamping old ones. We need to harness these visitors and make them want to stay, and not merely pass through on the way to somewhere else. Our way of life and our local culture has been guided by our landscape. Our industrial heritage has shaped those surroundings, but that history should not define us. It should form part of a new future based on the tourist attractions we could offer. On Rhugos Mountain and beyond, we have so much potential for innovative world-leading adventures, events and activities that bring up post-industrial and natural landscape to life and promote healthy living for all, as stated in the Priorities for the Visitor Economy document. This is what the residents in the locality aspire to and the kinds of opportunities we want for our young people. Despite the Planning Officer's report, this proposal is contrary to RCT's core policy 1.6, development in the north, encouraging a strong, diverse economy which supports traditional employment and promotes new forms of employment in the leisure and tourism sector, and also point 7, protecting the cultural identity of the strategy area by protecting historic built heritage and the natural environment. As stated above, the commitment to the Zipworld attraction has already stimulated the local economy. The visual intrusion of this stack will do nothing to promote the leisure and tourism sector in our future, in our area in the future. RCT Local Development Plan Objective 7 commits to protecting and enhancing the landscape, geological sites, habitats and native species of RCT. We would respectfully stress that a 90-metre stack with resulting emissions would not enhance our landscape or protect our wildlife habitats. It would have a significant detrimental impact on the landscape and the wildlife, which locals and tourists enjoy, both visually and from the emissions. Planning Policy Wales 5.5.1 states that the planning system should encourage tourism where it contributes to economic development and conservation, and recognises the need of visitors in those local communities. Furthermore, Planning Policy Wales 5.5.2 states how the planning system can assist in enhancing the sense of place of an area, which has an intrinsic value and interest for tourism. Now is the time for the Planning Authority to do so. There has never been a greater opportunity as there is now to build a sustainable economy based on tourism and recreation in the north of the Cynon Valley. The visual impact of this 90-metre stack would have a significant negative effect on the aims of RCT tourism strategy and the overarching plan to enhance, increase and sustain the visitor economy, establishing Rhondda Cynon Taf as a premier destination in the UK for experience-based visits and vacations. Regeneration is a much used word by you regarding this area.
Please.
But they will, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Rees, for that. I'll now call in Mrs. Barbara Melksham. Mrs. Melksham.
Okay, am I up?
Yes, you are. You start when you're ready. It'll be 5 minutes from now.
Well, thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, in summary, we have come together during these challenging times in order to ensure that the voices of thousands of local residents are heard as part of this planning application. We can assure you that the strength of feeling in this locality regarding this planning is extremely high. In our opinion, the planning report is quite selective in its consideration of planning policies and also the responses from the consultation. With all due respect, doubling the height of the stack is a major change from the previous consent, and there's been no concrete evidence presented to justify the increase in height, which in itself should make this application invalid. The photos supplied by EnviroParks from previous planning applications for this site will demonstrate the effect the stack
You seem to have lost Mrs. Melksham there.
Are you back? Am I back?
Yes, you're back now.
Right, sorry. RCT is somewhat keen to point out that emissions are the responsibility of MRW and that councillors only need to be satisfied that emissions will be regulated. MRW state in their response that stack height selection has been explained, but it has not been shown to be optimum. The applicant has also failed to discuss the optimization of efflux velocity in order to maximize plume rise under all weather conditions, and state that it is possible the stack height could be subject to change. Well, even higher. The planning report also says that without an approval under EPR, the development cannot become operational and is therefore unlikely to be constructed or completed. Well, we think that's a big assumption, as they've already constructed a large building on the site to keep their planning consent live, so it should not be assumed that they will not go ahead and build a stack. We therefore think that the councillors should be satisfied that any consent will be properly regulated and that a 90-metre stack is actually required, and they should insist that the applicant should apply for EPR first, or at least twin track the applications as recommended by NRW. Otherwise, we could be here again with yet another amendment by the applicant, or left with a monstrosity that is not required. This is clear advice given by NRW to avoid a conflict. To note that they have identified to have been considered by the applicant. Why have they been excluded? Surely they should be included, and this has not been addressed in the report. Regarding visual impact, the report states that the independent...
We're getting quite a poor connection now with Mrs. Melksham.
Are you there again?
Yes, we are. Yeah, I think we've got most of it there, Mrs. Melksham.
Sorry?
I think we caught most of what you had to say up to then, yes?
Right, shall I carry on? Right. Regarding visual impact, the report states that the independent landscape consultant conclusion is that the impact is significant, however acceptable. So we hope that you councillors are as perplexed as we are how this conclusion has been reached, so which does not appear to be reflected within the assessment. The assessment details many differences in the degree of visual impact and is critical of the limitations of the applicant's assessment. For example, 5 significant viewpoints compared to the applicant's claim of just 2. It also echoes the BP-NPA concerns over any significant effects in regards to the special qualities found there. For example, sweeping grandeur and outstanding natural beauty, and the working living patchwork of contrasting colours and textures. It states that neither the NRW or the BP-NPA have objected to the impact, but on closer scrutiny, NRW are purely reliant on the colour of the stack to try and better integrate the stack in views both from and towards the national park. But what about the views at day-to-day ground level? Will the colour hide the stack then? BP-NPA actually state they have concerns of landscape and visual impacts of the proposed stack and the impact this has on the statutory purpose of the national park. BP-NPA state that it will be for the determining LPA to give due regard to these impacts in the determination of this planning application. So we respectfully suggest that this report has not had due regard to these impacts, either on the park, on Rickus Mountain, waterfall country, or on the visual amenity that our residents value and enjoy. The psychological and social determinants of health are clearly put at risk by this proposed development, by the negative effect on the landscape and sense of being treated without regard to the wishes of the population. Our residents remember the previous exploitation of this valley by deep and surface mining and the Furnaceite plant, and have welcomed the focus on reclamation and restoration of a healthy environment.
I have to wind you up there, Mrs. Melksham, sorry. Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Mrs. Diane Pope. Yeah, if you can unmute yourself, Mrs. Pope, then. Yeah, that's fine. I think if you can start your contribution now, you have 5 minutes when you're ready.
Okay, thank you for your time. I'd like to speak to you today about my own experiences with temperature inversions, so-called permitted levels under environmental permits, and the effect they had on my mother's ill health until her death at 66, and also my worries about this stack. My mother was diagnosed with COPD in 2005. She was prescribed medication, inhalers and oxygen therapy. She lived a full and active life to the best of her ability until 2015, when her illness dramatically changed and the open caster tower was in production. They lived so close to the open cast, they were having problems with dirt, noise and an awful smell, especially when the cloud was low. The low cloud that everyone in the valley refers to as Dragon's Breath. The technical name is temperature inversion. A temperature inversion happens when the winter sun is low in the sky and supplies less warmth to the Earth's surface. Warmer air aloft acts as a lid and holds close air near the ground. Pollution trapped in by this inversion and mountains can increase the strength of a valley inversion. One of your colleagues, Councillor Anne Crimmins, referred to it as Dragon's Breath when she said a photo her son had taken of the cloud covering at Dare Valley Country Park. I approached Councillor Cara Morgan about the dust, dirt, noise and smell. She said I could attend a tower liaison meeting and voice my concerns. At those meetings, they just kept saying that the dust and emissions were within permitted levels. I did join for a short time, but with my mother's health deteriorating like it was, I had to stop. She would have lapses of unconsciousness, muscle spasms and hallucinations, and would be admitted to hospital. And my dad and I were taken to relative rooms and told on often occasions that they didn't think she would pull through this this admittance. We were asked had she been smoking. At this point, she was on 24 hours a day and other treatments throughout the day and could barely string a sentence together, never mind smoke. And anyway, my dad and I would never have let her anyway. These episodes continued and the questions were asked again. When I returned home after feeling very upset and trying to take care of my mother the best I could, I Googled. There was a lot of different explanations that came up because of the buildup of carbon monoxide and the gases in my mother's blood. And I found in line, sorry, hang on a minute, I'm lost. Why I believe that the carbon monoxide from the fumes from the open cast my mother had been dealing with my mother's health and it had been controlled up until open cast went to work. These episodes were becoming more frequent and horrific. I showed what I'd found online. The consultant didn't confirm or deny what I'd showed her, but the next time she was admitted, the question wasn't asked. There are 3 primary schools between Rigos, Hirwaun and Penderyn. Primary, that's ages 3 to 11. What are these children being exposed to and what have they breathed in? With the permitted PM10 and the more dangerous PM2.5. Breathing particle pollution can be harmful to your health. Coarse particles called PM10s can irritate eyes, nose and throat. Fine particles called PM2.5 are more dangerous because they can get deep into parts of your lungs. My mother's lungs were already damaged. How she suffered was horrific and cruel, and to watch, I don't want another family to go through what we did. But you were telling us again, the emissions will be regulated with permits for this stuff. What about the heavy lorries bringing the waste? We've already been exposed to heavy industry in the past. We are exposing all these children to our future generations. They have no voice. Well, I am their voice. It is down to us to keep them safe. That's why I'm asking you to refuse this building of a 90-metre chimney stack at EnviroParks that has been hanging over our heads for the last 10 years. I am worried sick about you forcing us to live with this sack and heavy industry again. I want to enjoy the beautiful surroundings we live in, but you want us to live in the shadow of a 90-metre chimney stack.
Okay, I'll have to wind you up there. Thank you, Mrs. Pope, for your submission there. And I'll now call the next contributor. This is Mrs. Carrie Rees.
Hello, am I visible?
Yes, you are. Yes. Okay, 5 minutes when you're ready, Mrs. Rees.
Okay, thank you, Chair, for letting me speak today. I'm a local resident of Hirwaun. I just give you an idea of my interest in this. I've previously studied and achieved a master's degree in environmental ecology, conservation and resource management, and currently work as a biology lecturer in a further education college. My partner and I moved to Hirwaun in November 2019, but his family has lived here for years and years, and I visited the village and the surrounding green areas since I was a small child. It is relevant to note, on the basis of my objection to this proposal, that I suffer from a rare autoimmune disease for which I take very strong immunosuppressant medications that make me very susceptible to a whole host of illnesses, both infectious and non-infectious. So I have to be incredibly careful with regards to my physical health, including avoiding pollutants as much as possible. And I need to look after my mental health, which has deteriorated at various points in my life for sometimes similar reasons to this proposal. We are currently facing a climate crisis. The effects of global warming are already causing issues in Wales, with localised flooding in South Wales now becoming a regular occurrence that we've all seen on the news. Carbon emission levels need to be reduced, as well as those of other particulates, in order to reduce the potential long-term implications of people's previous actions in industrialisation that we are all facing today. This development does not fit with those targets, as the polluting emissions coming from it will still be released into the atmosphere, even with the proposed change in height of the stack. By the end of 2019, Wales ranked 4th in the world for recycling. The ambition in Wales is to reach 100% recycling by 2050, meaning that no waste at all is sent to landfill or incinerators, but is recycled to be reused. This is already creating a supply issue to the existing incinerators in South Wales, specifically at Verdo's incineration plant in Splot in Cardiff Bay. It's true that 10 years ago, the need for the proposed plant existed and gasification technology was believed to be a viable option compared to landfill and incineration as a renewable energy from waste. But then why has it not been built since planning was granted by RCT in the 10-year period? The main reason for this is that the science behind the concept and the technology have not progressed, and we understand that energy from waste still does not have a technology partner for the gasification process. Without this technology, it's impossible to know what the emissions will be, and therefore any data or environmental impact assessments the company have provided are purely hypothetical. The waste management requirement for this plant is unclear and unproven. It goes against several aspects of RCT County Borough Council's current and future local development plans. As a result of this, I believe, as the action group as an entirety believes, that the whole facility needs to be reassessed in line with current and future national policies for climate change, specifically and most recently the Beyond Recycling policy. The Beyond Recycling policy was recently published on March the 2nd by Leslie Griffiths, MS Minister for Environment, and has now placed a moratorium on any future large-scale energy from waste developments. As the increase in recycling and reduction in waste already seen means that we will not need any new large-scale energy from waste infrastructure to deal with the residual waste that's generated in Wales. Therefore, I am requesting that the committee take this into consideration when assessing this planning and vote to refuse the application. If the 90-metre stack goes ahead, for me personally, it will be an indication that the views of local residents are not as important as they are made out to be. Should this happen, my partner and I will personally be looking to move away from the area as soon as possible, as the development will have a detrimental effect on our own lives, particularly as we both suffer from medical conditions which will be affected by the development in terms of our physical and mental well-being. We can't afford to take the risk of staying in the shadow of the proposed plant and as a result feel forced out of our home if this were to go ahead. In addition to concerns over the environment and health, it's also important for me to mention that if this development goes ahead, I do also believe that it will become impossible to enjoy most of the amenities in the village with this 90-metre stack and its emission looming over us. Tourism is likely to suffer, as other speakers have mentioned, given that one of the big pulls of Hirwaun and Regos is the green space surrounding it, the views of which will be ruined by the presence of a huge stack and plumes of smoke, which will be visible no matter the height of these polluting clouds. To summarise, on the grounds of the likely long-term negative impacts on the environment, on people's health, and the general look and feel and accessibility of the village, I personally object to the proposed plant and the stack. I sincerely hope the council takes into account the strong objections of its residents, considers their mental health and well-being, and makes the right decision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Rees. I'll now call Mr. Richard Jones on behalf of Hirwaun and Penderyn Community Council.
Thanks very much, Chair. Okay to start?
Yes, you start. You have 5 minutes when you're ready then, Mr. Jones.
Lovely. Thanks very much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. As you said, I'm on behalf of the Hirwaun and Pendane Community Council, and I'm here to speak about my own personal circumstances. In 2004, I was rushed into hospital with severe respiratory distress. My parents were told that there was a chance I may not survive the treatment they needed to carry out on me. At that point, I was diagnosed with type 2 respiratory failure. This means that my body retains carbon dioxide and doesn't exchange gases easily. Having spent a month in hospital, I was given a continuous positive airways pressure machine, or more commonly known as a CPAP. This machine changed my life. I was only on it at night, but it meant that I was able to exchange my gases and have a better quality of life. Subsequently, this machine as well is the same machine that is used to treat coronavirus patients that are not needing full ventilation. It's connected to oxygen, but the oxygen is only used through the night. Since then, I've ended up in hospital on 2 other occasions, one of which was in 2010, when I was hospitalized for 4 months with pneumonia. A very unpleasant experience, and I've ended up, as a result, on oxygen 24 hours a day. I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, that's brittle bones disease to most people. I've had over 70 plus broken bones. I can live with that, but this chest condition is a life sentence. It's horrific. Somebody used the word horrific earlier on, and it's not knowing what's around the corner. And I think to build this stack to this proportion would have a huge negative effect on people with similar conditions to myself. During lockdown, I was able to sit in the garden for 15-20 minutes on oxygen, without oxygen, because of the clean air. Now, we know that there was very little traffic on the roads because of lockdown and people were working from home. So the air was clear, there was less pollutants. If this stack were to be built, that wouldn't be the case. And I think the people would suffer because of, as people said, because of the pollution. The other thing to take into consideration, which I think has already been mentioned, is the effect that this has on people's mental health. The amount of heavy traffic that would be traveling towards the stack, both when it was in the building process and subsequently when it was operational, would be tremendous. And that traffic, that pollution, will not only have an effect on, as I said, people with respiratory difficulties, but subsequently people with mental health conditions who will be affected by the noise, by the dust, by the pollution. There's a tremendous effect. And it's not just people with severe conditions, like one of the speakers earlier on, her mother suffered with, and myself, but also people with children with asthma. There's lots of conditions that are aggravated by such pollutants. And you know, the statistics are available to be seen. I personally think that this stack will be an extremely, extremely negative feature for our community, and I would implore the council to vote against it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you there, Mr. Jones. We've got 2 more, I think, or at least 2 written statements. I'm going to ask Mr. Jones to read them.
Thank you, Chair. You caught me by surprise then. I thought you were going to go with the other speaker. So, right, okay. The first one is from a Dr. Kevin Thomas. I am unable to attend the planning committee on the 4th of March. Therefore, I appreciate it if this is read out. The proposed development would have a major detrimental visual impact on the locality. The size of the stack at 90 metres tall would force an unwelcome, intrusive element into the local landscape and would detract from the rural characteristics of the surrounding area. It is noted in the planning officer's report includes components of the authority's landscape consultant's report, essentially supportive of the development. However, there are equally elements in that report which consider the proposal to have a significant negative impact. Assertions made by the developer have been challenged in some cases. However, in others, erroneous statements have been taken as factual. As an example, regarding the impact on the dark sky status of the area, it has been stated that infrared aviation warning lights could be used, which are invisible to the naked eye. These are only relevant to military aircraft operations, and visible lighting is required for protection of civilian flights, such as air ambulance operations. I would suggest additional scrutiny of the proposal would need to take place for a valid planning decision to be made. On a similar note, regarding the potential emissions from the stack, the developer has provided data on expected maximum levels of toxic chemical deposition in the local area. My understanding is that the developer has not engaged a technical partner to provide the necessary site equipment for the intended process. So if this is correct, the data supplied can only be seen as illustrative, in which case further scrutiny would be required on the basis of actual site technology specifications. The point does not seem to have been examined as part of due process, either by the Planning Authority or Natural Resources Wales. There may well be a negative impact on the health of the local population on a number of grounds. Clearly, a development which involves the conversion of non-hazardous waste into toxic byproducts which are emitted into the atmosphere at levels which it seems may not be accurately predicted at present poses an obvious risk. A plant which has to use non-renewable energy sources to operate must be in contravention of the principles behind national policies on environmental protection. Visual amenity contributes significantly to the well-being of the population, and developments that detract from this principle can result in subtle but real negative impacts on local population self-esteem and therefore general health. A proposal to develop a single wind turbine very close to this site in 2015 was refused planning consent due to the perceived negative visual impact. The site has been partially developed already without clear direction for the completion of the scheme, although the operation of the site, including the new stack, would be governed by environmental permit. There would be a risk of the developer constructing the stack, which would lay dormant, as with the existing buildings, should a permit not be forthcoming in due course. I understand that planning consent has been gained for the development with a lower height stack previously, and that this application is solely for a larger stack. However, the current application serves to give effect to the purpose of the project and therefore has to be seen as enabling all of the potential effects of the scheme as a whole. I would therefore ask committee to consider the above points in light of the fact that if this application was approved, it would result in damage to the locality and its inhabitants, who rely on the committee to protect them as best they are able, and therefore to refuse permission for this development. Yours faithfully, Dr. Kevin Thomas. The second letter of Chair is from a David Pritchard. Could you please read this email at the hearing application? Thanks. The purpose of the Clean Air Bill Wales 2021 at white paper stage, which will quite rightly become law, is to reduce premature yearly deaths of 1,400 and unknown respiratory diseases. Leslie Griffith, Minister for Environment and Rural Affairs, said breathing clean air and having access to a healthy environment is a right, not a privilege. We must take decisive and lasting action now. Dr. Sarah Jones, Consultant Public Health Wales, supports this bill. Every person has a moral duty to implement the recommendations and advice in the Clean Air Wales Act now, not to wait for it to become law and start the process of saving premature deaths and respiratory diseases. This unnecessary plant requires huge amounts of natural or imported natural gas burning continuously. The burning of diesel requires a 90-metre stack to take pollution higher into the atmosphere from the continuously burning of wood and unknown and uncontrollable waste in a concentrated area. There are 4 schools within 2 miles from this plant. Having the knowledge that air pollution kills, as there is no safe level of air pollution and no procedure for cleanup, as in oil spill, etc., I respectively point out that this unnecessary plant will increase pollution in a concentrated way, adding to deaths and respiratory diseases in the local area, not reduce pollution. Make the decisive and lasting action now. Stop this unnecessary plant and reduce premature deaths. Phil Pritchard, thanks. And the last one, Chair, is from Mr. Roy Noble. The building of the 90-metre stack at Hirwaun Trading Estate is a vision of disbelief. It is, as has been indicated, the height more or less of the Statue of Liberty, New York, from floor to torch. The statue in New York is a neoclassical sculpture. The Hirwaun stack will clearly not be so. A likely abomination with a horrendous visual impact. I venture that this couldn't be camouflaged at all. Other speakers will have voiced opinions and concerns in detail of various genuine concerns of the possible threat to schools within a mile of the development, and I have written to the Schools Commissioner in Wales and the Future Generations Commissioner to glean opinion. It was stated that the views of children should be brought into this discussion. In the site area, hotels are affected, Penderyn Reservoir is near, various important food outlets and Penderyn Whisky are on the trading estate itself, and the complicated conveyance of waste to the site, especially during the dualling of the A465 in this area, which is likely to go on for years, will impinge greatly. There is implication on possible jobs at the proposed tourist initiatives on the Tower Colliery land. I accept, of course, that the Planning Committee has to work within narrow, specific parameters, but the development flies in the face of the new vision declared by Welsh Government, Clean Air White Paper in January of this year, and the fact that the remit for this area is now one of tourism and has moved on from the Heads of the Valley initiatives of 10 years ago when this Planning Commission was first given. I have clearly given a hint of where I stand on this issue, but I ask the Planning Committee in your deliberations to consider if all else fails, that a deferment is put in place. There are questions to be seriously considered. Is the developer in a position to refer the committee to other sites which have this process in place so that it can be visited to ascertain effectiveness and to interview those who work in it or live alongside it? Can the developer guarantee what has been suggested in terms of outfall and emissions? Suppositions and subjective opinion cannot be accepted. Reality and facts must be cast iron. This is a big decision with possible far-reaching repercussions for the area. It cannot be denied that the visual impact would be very real and dramatic in the worst sense of the word. The valley has suffered despoliation for years. For the sake of our next generations, it deserves respite and fresh new horizons. Further, I hope the fritillary butterfly comes to our aid. Would it be the people who live here are given the same respect, care and consideration as the butterfly, our new friend? I hope that on Thursday, March the 4th, simple but clear common sense and decency prevail. May they be our guiding light. I sincerely wish the Planning Committee a determined resolution and a deep feeling for your hinterland heritage and homeland in the difficult, restricting confines in which you work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I'm now calling Mr. David Williams from the applicant. I believe that Mr. Williams is going to exercise the right of reply on behalf of the applicants. Yeah, Mr. Williams,
Good afternoon.
Ready.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair. And I thank the objectors for their comments. I'm just going to go off my message a little bit to try and answer some of the questions that have been put forward during the previous speakers. We recognise the stack is tall, obviously. However, I should point out that it is significantly smaller than the wind turbines that sit on the ridge of Regos Mountain behind the site. I think that does put in perspective, whilst the constant reference to the Statue of Liberty is interesting, I don't think it's relevant in this case. We opted for a 90-metre stack as a maximum height, and we calculated this as a worst-case scenario. We currently have a permit, which will be varied to take into account the emissions produced by the site, and these emissions will have to be guaranteed. We are not obliged to twin track our permit and planning, The main reason we have chosen not to do this is that we cannot complete the final design, which we need for the permit, until we've determined the stack height permitted via planning. So there's a bit of a catch-22 there. And the plant will be designed not to produce a visual plume, and somebody mentioned a plume. We have shortlisted 3 technological partners, and it was them we consulted with to help us with the calculations to calculate our emissions. We did extensive consultation with them. That consultation informed the stack height. And there's also been a suggestion that the site will not be ultimately developed and the stack will be an eyesore. Well, I can categorically state this will not happen. It's financially impossible for a company to fund that type of thing, and I just can't imagine how that could possibly be possible. So going on to what I was hoping to say, I'm hopefully still going to be within my 5 minutes. Let me focus on what the approval of the revised stack would enable. We know the increase in stack height returns significantly better environmental performance and also ensures that we can meet any further reduction in emission targets that may occur in the future. Targets will tighten up. So what do we currently do with the 4.5 million tonnes of non-hazardous waste generated in Wales each year? So Natural Resources Wales report that around 2,850,000 tonnes is recycled, including that exported for recycling. 625,000 tonnes is incinerated. 450,000 tonnes is landfilled, and 180,000 tonnes is sent to Europe as fuel for recovery in incinerators there. This last number is interesting because it means we are also wrapping waste up in bales and hauling it to Europe at a cost of around £18 million a year. We have all become better recyclers over the last few years as we seek to comply with the Welsh Government's Towards Zero Waste policy. And we support that policy, but there is still some way to go to increase in recycling from 65% to close to the 100% or One Planet levels required by 2050. We aim to assist this target by producing energy, which is classed as recovery. Not everything can be recycled. Ironically, one of the easiest ways to recycle is plastic, so long as it is segregated and clean. It is also the most difficult, and where local authorities and businesses have collected it, it has often been sent overseas to the Far East for processing, which in reality can mean miners shifting through piles of plastic rubbish by hand, or companies being paid to accept plastic waste and then stockpiling it, dumping it, or simply setting fire to it. And despite the concerns and best practices observed by local authorities, of which RCT has an excellent record, by the way, there is still clear evidence that some of your recycled plastic waste has ended up dumped in countries such as Malaysia, and that it often ends up in watercourses and then the sea. Recycling isn't always what it appears to be, I'm afraid. Approving this application will go some way to significantly decreasing the amount of waste sent to landfill and waste exported, because we still need facilities capable of recycling and recovering at around 600,000 tonnes of waste per year in Wales for some years to come. It is also important to note that the case of the proposed EnviroParks facility, all existing environmental safeguards and commitments would remain intact, with emissions controlled by Natural Resources Wales to allow us to carry out the recovery of waste. EnviroParks is a Welsh business and will bring increased prosperity to RCT with the creation of many new jobs with a total investment of around £150 million, of which we've spent £23 million to date, and the production of enough renewable energy to power 10,000 homes a year. There will also be a direct contribution to the local economy of around £800,000, and that's only for half the site. The site is 20 acres in all.
Mr. Williams, can I stop you there? I asked you to respond to the speakers. Can you sort of keep your remarks to responding to the speakers?
Well, I'm trying to respond to it. I mean, I've got a comment on Zip World. I've got a comment on the site development. A lot of the comments made by speakers, whilst I respect their right to make those comments, don't seem to be focused on the actual planning application itself, which was an increase in the height of the stack. And are discussing a larger and broader picture, which we've already got planning permission for. So you can guide me. I'll go with your guidance on this one, Chair.
Okay, and you're coming very close to 5 minutes as well.
Okay, well, I think I'll just have to finish very quickly. I think it's important to note that we do have no objections from the statutory consultees, and we have spent an awful lot of time talking to the statutory consultees and meeting their needs. I'm very pleased that your officers are recommending approval for this application, and would be grateful if our committee would consider our application favourably. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. I've got 2 members. Are these for questions? Councillor Hughes, first of all.
Thank you, Chair. It was just to make clear that whilst I had
technical difficulties at the beginning of this meeting. I logged on my phone and then logged on an alternative device. So I've heard the whole debate, and therefore I feel comfortable that I'm able to participate fully in the debate.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Hughes. And Councillor Jarman, did you have a question?
Well, apparently I got to respond, but I mean, I have, anyway.
Sorry? I've raised my hand in anticipation of the committee debate commencing, Chair.
Right, well, we're actually going to take a break before then, Councillor Jarman. You're a bit ahead of yourself, I'm afraid. But I will call in the local members first. I'm going to call in Councillor Graham Thomas, who is the local member for the application site.
Thank you, Chair. As a local member, I speak to oppose the application before us today for a 90-metre stack at Enviroparks in the Heroine Industrial Estate, a doubling in size from the previous application that in itself increased the original size of the stack. The report from October 2017 must have been of the view that a 45-metre stack was sufficient to mitigate any pollution and aspects in emissions from the process. This was clearly wrong, otherwise we would not have the application before us today. NRW must have been content that the 45-metre stack was secured the necessary environmental permit, and which Enviroparks has not secured in full during the intervening years, and this does not provide any confidence in the report today. I request that the application should be refused for the following material reasons. Firstly, visual impact resulting adversely on the character of the surrounding area. The proposed stack, when viewed from different locations, presents a significant and unacceptable intrusion into the landscape. This has an impact on local residents and also on visitors when we are trying to develop tourism in the area, such as the impressive Zip World and the roller coaster initiatives. Imagine the impact of this beacon with its resulting emissions on both residents and visitors alike. I refer to the review of landscape and visual impact assessment, paragraph 6.1, on page 47, states, overall, this review considers that there will be 5 viewpoints undergoing significant effects at year 15 rather than the 2 stated in the LVIA. The significance of this is that this review considers that the significant effects intrude further into the national parks than the LVIA. This adds weight to refusal based on the material consideration, that is, the unacceptable visual impact on the character of the area and indeed on the visual amenity and sense of well-being of residents and visitors alike. Secondly, the cumulative impact. When taking into account previous applications that involve stacks, processes with pollutant emissions, this industrial estate has been subject to numerous applications that added together pose a risk to the health and well-being of local residents. While the report focuses mainly on habitats such as the marsh fritillary butterfly, there's great concern about the impact on the health of residents. The overall assessment from NRW does not exactly inspire confidence, and in fact indicates an unacceptable level of pollution in relation to SSI areas unless mitigating measures in the form of Section 106 agreement are in place. This is in relation to the in combination of process contributions of nitrogen and acid, with the latter exceeding the acceptable level of 1%. This, I stress, based only on modelling. I stress that the level is from this process alone and not taking into account the cumulative impact of previous applications, including a major approved application at Heroine Gas that is yet to get out of the starting blocks. On page 83, regarding the NRW assessment, it states, we have significant concerns about this application as submitted. It proceeds to outline a list of conditions, including dust, land contamination, without which they would object to this application, hardly a ringing endorsement. Of course, residents are rightly concerned about the potential impact on their own health and well-being, and the well-being of their children, with this stack at the center of a triangle of no less than 3 primary schools. Page 4 importantly refers to the change in policy directions when based on new evidence, and this goes back to the original proposal in 08-10. Over a decade has passed since that time, and evidence, knowledge, and policy direction are rapidly moving against such developments, not least because of climate change. We ignore this evidence at our own risk, and indeed, the risk of the well-being of future generations, another material reason for refusal. You will have heard the significant contributions from objectors today, the high number of speakers to a single application, 217 letters of objection, 4 petitions, including over 4,000 signatures, including a specific reason for their objections. As a long-standing councillor going back as far as 1982, representing local residents, it's difficult to recall an issue that has drawn so much opposition, possibly one in the late 90s. When you consider the level of public hostility to an issue, I respectfully request that you refuse this application for the reasons given, and further ask that each and every member of committee individually refuses the application to provide a unanimous decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. I'll now go to Councillor Cara Morgan, who is the member for the neighbouring ward. Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Chair. Members have heard eloquent and considered representations from the residents. They are passionate, yes, but please don't dismiss that passion as lacking in evidence. It is well informed. Giving consideration to all the residents' concerns and the concerns of the statutory bodies, granting approval for this 90-metre stack at this unsuitable location to essentially facilitate the waste gasification site to become operational would be in direct conflict with policies referred to already by the speakers, local and national policies. For members' benefit, Planning Policy Wales 5.76 on energy. There is no evidence that this proposal will bring benefit to our local economy or our communities. It will rely heavily on EPR to minimise the significant environmental impact, and the social impact has not even been considered in the report in front of you. Policy 5.132, waste management. This policy is relevant because no adequate assessment can be undertaken based on hypothetical data, which has failed to take into account, amongst other things, our very local weather conditions. This also leads us at Welsh Government level to the Beyond Recycling strategy and the implications for the future of this proposal. I am disappointed that this is not being given due regard today, and I also note that the applicant in his response failed to mention that in their sell of the plant. RCT LDP, Policy CS9 Waste Management, at Hirwan Industrial Estate says that it will be limited to in-building facilities to minimise the visual and ecological impact. How does a 90-metre stack comply with this? Policy AW6, Design and Placemaking, the design should protect and enhance the landscape and biodiversity. This proposal does neither. Policy AW8, Protection and Enhancement of the National Environment. This proposal has an unacceptable impact on the landscapes, nature conservation, our air, water and soil. Policy AW10, Environmental Protection and Public Health. There is real concern that the low RCT is placing responsibility with Dŵr Cymru and NRW for environmental concerns and permits. The impact on the local amenity has not been given the regard it deserves. Policy AW12 states that energy proposals should demonstrate they have no unacceptable effect on a variety of features, including landscape again, nature conservation, public health and residential amenity. This policy should be applied to the current application because the effect is unacceptable. Policy NSA 3, Development and the Key Settlement of Hirwaun. The proposal in front of us does not promote the opportunities for tourism development and does adversely affect the sites of nature conservation importance. Turning to the Brecon Beacons National Park LDP, development will only be approved that will not prevent the enjoyment of the National Park special qualities or where integrity of the park is not compromised and the visual amenity of residents and visitors within it are not spoilt. Pursuance of the National Park purposes is not just the reserve of the MPA. Section 62 of the Environment Act also places a duty to the Planning Authority then to have due regard to the National Park purposes in undertaking any activity which might impact. This last statement is interesting. This is actually what the park advises RCT in their consultation response. The report advises that the park does not object because they do not actually use the word object. An alternative interpretation of that would be that they are simply following their policy and advising RCT of their concerns and the LPA's responsibility to have due regard to those concerns. I am also concerned here, members, that the park may not have had sight of the visual consultant's assessment, which is critical of the applicant's assessment, especially in regard to the park. It is noted that the application for the siting of the single wind turbine at Ricos in 2014 was refused, and also refused on appeal because of the conflict with national policy and its impact on the national park and policy AW12 of RCT LDP. At the very least, this stack should be refused for the same reason, please. Local residents are sick and tired of living in an industrialised environment. They are physically sick and psychologically sick. RCT has raised their spirits with the recent drive towards a sustainable, cleaner, greener tourist economy. This proposal is out of keeping with those aims. Most of all, they are sick of not being listened to. The principles of the Wellbeing and Future Generations Act is not being applied here as far as they are concerned. I respectfully request that all members refuse this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Right, that concludes all of the public speakers that we have today. So I'm going to call for a comfort break for about 5 minutes. I think we all need to rest our eyes from the screen and stretch our legs in the interest of our well-being as well as everyone else's. So 5 minutes and then I'll call the meeting back together. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if she's talking to them.
Have all members returned now? We're waiting for. Yes, Councillor Yeo. Yeah. Just Councillor Powderhill we're waiting for. Okay, all members of the committee are now back here. So before I call in Mr. Jones to present the application to members, I want to thank everyone who has contributed so far. It is clear that everyone has put in a huge amount of time and consideration into their submissions. But I do want to assure you all that the members of this committee will have listened very carefully to what you've said, and this will assist them in reaching a valid and balanced decision later in the meeting. So thank you all very much. So I now hand over to Mr. Jones to present the application.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, there is an update on the number of objections, as well as listing the number of speakers. Ms. Sarah Keach has submitted further signatories on the petition. So at the time of considering this application, there are 4,441 signatures and 241 comments to date, made up of 437 signatories and 26 comments since they submitted them on the 30th of October, which is what appears in your report. So that's just that, Chair. Housekeeping, as members will note from the last planning committee, Welsh Government introduced a planning policy Wales 11 and a Future Wales 2040, which is the National Development Framework, in between writing the report and us determining it tonight, or this afternoon. In terms of the proposal, which I'll come on into a minute, it's very specific. Therefore, those two pieces of national guidance are unlikely to drill down as far as applications, specific types of application. They are more generic in nature, but we have considered it the broader development against both PPW and Future Wales 2040, and we have found there are no other policies of any significance that would alter the recommendation. So there's nothing else to take into account other than what's in the report, Chair. If it's okay with you, Chair, we will play the drone footage next, so members who maybe are not familiar with the site can have an aerial view. There are 3 short clips. One is taken from the sort of the viewpoint on the Riggers Road coming down, and I'll describe what you can see as you see it. The other one is taken from Penderyn School and the distillery and coming back that way. And I think there's a 360 visualization as well. So if Bethan could just play those in any particular order. Yeah. So this is flying across to almost where the takeoff point will be for Zip World. So we've left the sort of where the ice cream van sits, and we're coming very close to Zip World before it's going to start to turn and then go down across the reservoir. So you'll be seeing what the adrenaline seekers will see when they come down Zip World. You're coming now over Tower Colliery, the former Tower Colliery site where Zip World will land. You've left that now. Now you're coming down towards Hirwaun Industrial Estate. And you will see in the background there the reservoir, which is probably the best visual aid to where you are. And there you're coming into the site, and the building in sort of the rhubarb and custard style elevations is the EnviroPark site. This is one now coming from the other direction, so I think you can see the Rigos School, the Penderyn School on your right, and the brewery, distillery on your left, and you're flying along the Brecon Road, I guess it is, over the village of Penderyn. Now at some point you will branch right to come in over the reservoir. And all I would ask you to do is just look at the undeveloped areas that you pass over, the ones that are not covered by trees, because I'll refer to sort of the Blind Cannon Sack in a little while, and that's the kind of area. So you're flying in, there's your point of reference again, which is the reservoir, and then it'll turn and come in. And there you can see the rhubarb and custard elevations of the building that EnviroParks have built so far. And this is the shortest film, which is the 360. Again, if you use the reservoir as the focus point, so on your right there was Eden Industries, Eden Shelving. So that is the view, basically hovering above the application site and spinning around 360 degrees. So thanks to Jack in Christian Hannigan's team for providing those. I hope members found those interesting. If Bethan could maybe start the presentation, please. Members will be pleased to note I don't have much to say before members can have their say on the... So right, the application site is simply the red edge. There's a quirk in planning that says you have to marry the application site up with a public highway, which is why it has that sort of snake-like road. But the application site is the round circle next to the building, which we've already seen. So if Bethan can move across. Okay. The application seeks only to increase the height of the approved 45-metre stack to 90 metres. It'll also involve it being slightly wider than previously approved and a small amount of external ducting to take into account the relatively modest change in location. No new technology or changes in apparatus other than the increase in height of the stack is being proposed. Therefore, any emissions do not change between this proposal and the development already approved. Bethan, as members can see from that photograph, it's a little bit faint, the existing approved stack is on the left and obviously double the height, and it moves, and perhaps if Bethan can move to the next plan, it'll give members a better, and again, no, the next one, and again, no, and again. That one. Members can see the context of the stack relative to the rest of the layout. And hopefully members can pick out from the plan on the left, on the right rather, the amount it's moved from within the national park into RCT. This is and always has been a bizarre planning application. It's not very uncommon to have applications that have a split boundary. Cellar open cast, the Cellar site I believe is in East Port Talbot, the access is an RCT, and you can deal with the two things largely separately, although they both need consent. Those members who have sat in consideration on this development before will perhaps remember me saying, well, just to give you an example, the building in the top right-hand corner is for RCT to consider that little corner, and then the national park to consider all of the rest of the building. That is very, very difficult to do in decision-making. But this is the first time in the EnviroParks evolution that the stack has actually been in the RCT, local planning authority area jurisdiction. It has always been in the national park jurisdiction previously. It's considered, as set out in the report, that there are two principal, so that's main considerations in the determination of this application, and these are set out on the top of page 19. And these can broadly be summarized as emissions and visual amenity being in its various degrees, not just how it's going to look. In terms of emissions, NRW have offered significant concerns in respect of the proposal. This is in respect of emissions and derives from the desire for the applicant to have twin track the application with the environmental permitting regulation application. So until now, it was in the national park. The principal concern of NRW has and has always been, Bethan could go to the next picture, and again, that one, thank you, is the effect on the Blaen Cynnan Sac. And members may have seen me smile reading out Mr. Noble's objection, and if Bethan can shift to the next picture, there is the friend that Mr. Noble was referring to. That is the marsh fritillary butterfly. And if Bethan can go on to the next picture, that is the devil's bit scabious on which the survival of that butterfly relies. That is the foodstuff for the butterfly, and NRW's principal concerns, clearly they're taking into account all aspects of emissions, but it's the effect of any deposition on that habitat there, which is what you see in the drone fly over, and it's quite a lot of land, which is why the increase in height in the stack is required to take any emissions over that, so it's not deposited and affects the special status of the plant and butterfly. Committee will note from NRW's consultation response that the applicant's modelling of emissions are considered acceptable for the purposes of the planning application. And they've also stated they are lower than the modelling of the previous application, but have reserved judgment on the impact of the SAC, subject to the submission of an application under the environmental permitting regulations. Committee is advised that in light of these comments, which are similar to those made previously, the issue of emissions themselves is not for committee to consider, as NRW are the appropriate regulatory body. In terms of visual amenity is both a specific and a generic term for considering how a proposal impacts visually on the area. Committee will note that NRW, who are Welsh Government statutory landscape advisors, have significant concerns, but this is largely in respect of the impact on the SAC. In respect of visual amenity, including the impact on the national park, they do not offer an objection and are satisfied that, subject to the imposition of a condition relating to the grading of the stack, the impact is considered acceptable. The National Park have expressed some concerns over the impact of the stack on some southern parts of the park, but have not objected. They mainly highlight the responsibility of the determining authority to have particular regard to the special qualities of the park. Normally, the comments of NRW and the Brecon Beacons National Park would be sufficient to formulate a view of any impact. However, a query from one of the local members and the number of objections received led to a decision to commission an independent review and the assessment of the landscape and visual impact by Simon White of White Consultants, who undertook the work. And the reason for choosing him and his credentials are listed on page 22 of your report. Given the proposal is for the construction of a 90-metre high stack, White Consultants would never go in to conclude that this would make a positive contribution to the visual amenity of the area, and White Consultants have been somewhat critical of the information submitted by the applicant's landscape consultants and the conclusion that were drawn from this. And that is why we asked White Consultants not only to review the information that was submitted, but to actually do their own assessment. A copy of the White Consultants report in its entirety has been included as part of your report. While it is a balanced judgment, it does conclude that the majority of the views will be against the backdrop of a rising landscape where, subject to the approved grading of the stack in accordance with a RAL colour chart, the impact is acceptable both within the landscape and its impact on the special qualities of the national park. All other issues are referred to in the report, but it's considered that the impact is acceptable. The only other advice that I would respectfully remind committee of is that if they are persuaded by the issues put forward by the speakers and objectors as part of this application, it would be essential at any appeal situation to demonstrate that the impact of the increased height of the stack, the thing we are actually considering today, would be demonstratable in the event that there was a public inquiry. If Bethan can tap through the stack, the stack of photographs, they are a combination of images taken from the landscape and visual assessment by the applicant, some of which include superimposed images. So if Bethan can, so clearly from some locations you will see them, others you get masked views, sometimes by landscape, as you can see there in the winter, and in the summer will largely be hidden again, but there are certain areas that you will see the stack against the skyline. So if Bethan can keep going through them. again, from some areas, you won't notice it. Right, this is perhaps, pictures of this type are perhaps what has led white consultants to conclude that on balance, it is acceptable. Hopefully from the drone footage, you will see that the landscape rises both towards the park and towards what would be the Mynydbwlch Penrith Cnoeth wind farm. And the argument is that from most areas, the impact of the stack will be seen against the backdrop, and therefore the grading of the stack will minimize any impact to an acceptable level. Bethan can keep flicking through them, please. Again and again. As you can see, most of these images will be taken against the backdrop of the rising landscape. In that one, you can actually see it will exceed, so there are some skyline views, and for balance, I will include some of those towards the end of the presentation. And if Bethan can keep going. So these are the views you're likely to get from near the Zip World development. And if that can, and again, at some point, the closer you get to the stack, and I think you've seen pictures from Mrs. Wakeford, I believe, the more at street level you are, the more the stack will be seen against the sky, and therefore the grading will perhaps lose its impact against what is a white sky. And if Bethan can keep going. And that just shows that in some areas, landscaping will make no difference whatsoever. Even in year 15, those trees will never grow higher. Bethan can keep going, please. And that is a picture of the site. Luckily, the drone covered this, but that's just to show the building that EnviroParks have already built. And right, as I say, the closer you get to the building, the more visual against the sky it will be, and clearly the less effective the grading of the stack will be. If Bethan can carry on. Similar principle there, only part of it is hidden from the, I think that's taken from near the reservoir. And that is the last one. So the balance chair is that for the most views, it will be set against a rising landscape and therefore largely obscured from a prominent view. But balanced against that, and you know, the $64,000 question for members to answer is, are they happy with that? Are the views from nearby such that it is considered to be too high and, you know, maybe lead members to disagree with the recommendation? That's me done, Chair. Sorry to have kept you longer than I perhaps first imagined. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Jones, for that. I'll go to members now then. I'll go first to Councillor Capel.
Thank you, Chair. As a Rhondda boy, I totally empathise and understand the strong emotions and firm beliefs regarding the erection of a 90-metre chimney stack on the edge of the beautiful Brecon Beacons. Growing up in Cumberporth, our family home was 100 yards away from the Colliery chimney stack, which dominated the Porth skyline. The stack was that of Cumbercolliery, the place where my grandfather, Jack Capel, started work before the war, having come from Nailsea in Somerset. Cumbercolliery closed in 1939, but the stack remained until the 1980s. It was once used to smelt old X-ray plates to extract silver. Then we were told that one Sunday morning, the stack was going to be demolished by a controlled explosion. There was a large crowd on the other side, and after a loud explosion, the stack was no more. I'm sure my father shed a tear, but he knew that Porth and the Rhondda have to move to a greener, cleaner future, and he was all for it. Cumbercolliery is now Porth Morrison's and part of the Porth bypass. The only chimney stack left in the Rhondda is at the Rhondda Heritage Park, formerly the Lewis Merthyr Colliery in Treaford. The stack is still an extremely imposing physical structure, even from the valley base, but as a reminder of our proud coal mining heritage, and now a major tourist attraction, telling the story of coal. This application involves the relocation of a chimney stack and the doubling of its height to 90 metres. In reading the report and listening to the comments by public speakers, it is clear to me that the erection of the structure is not acceptable, particularly in the vicinity of an area of natural beauty and outstanding landscape. This physical structure will undoubtedly detract from the special qualities of the Brecon Beacons National Park as a result of a detrimental visual impact affecting the sense of tranquility and remoteness. It will also have an impact on the Council's tourism strategy, such as the fantastic venture at nearby Zip World, as well as developing an abundance of varied recreational activities. As Vicky Owls MS stated, and as the report suggests in the conclusions of the LVIA, the Landscape and Visual Impact Assessment by White Consultants, it is not possible to hide a large 90-metre structure, and that it will form a significant intrusion into the landscape. It is clear that the stack would have a detrimental impact, and that such an impact is significant in landscape and visual terms. On page 30 of the report, neither NRW, Brecon Beacon National Park Authority, nor White Consultants claim that the erection of the stack will make a positive contribution to the landscape. Furthermore, NRW has significant concerns relating to the uncertainty of the development on sensitive habitats, which, as yet, has not been subject to consent under the Environmental Permitting Regulations, the EPR. I would also refer members to page 93 of the report and the conclusions expressed by Brecon Beacons National Park, and I quote from the report, from the letter: "The Brecon Beacons National Park Authority have some concerns over the landscape and visual impacts of the proposed 90-metre stack and the impacts this then has on the statutory purpose of the national park to conserve and enhance the natural beauty, wildlife and cultural heritage of the national park. The NPA also have concerns that the proposal will adversely impact on two of the special qualities of the park, its sweeping grandeur and outstanding natural beauty, and the working, living patchwork of contrasting patterns, colours, and textures. In my view, this is tantamount to an objection without using the word objection. It's also interesting to note that the recently published Welsh Government strategy document, Beyond Recycling, on page 32, it stated that a moratorium be placed on any future large-scale energy from waste developments, as the increase in recycling and reduction in waste will not need new large-scale infrastructure to deal with the residual waste in Wales. Therefore, having said all that, I wish to formally move that this application be refused against officers' recommendation on the grounds of an incongruous and inappropriate development which has an adverse, detrimental and unacceptable visual impact on the landscape and compromises the visual amenity. I so move. Thank you, Chair.
Second that, Chair.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Jarman. So we've got a motion that's been seconded. I'll now call you in, Councillor Jarman.
Thank you, Chair. I've listened intently to all the contributions made today, made copious notes. And although some of them are matters we're advised we shouldn't take into account in determining this application, because the only matter under consideration is doubling the height of this stack, but it can't be ignored. Chair, all those matters that we are told cannot be considered were last put before this committee on the 19th of October 2017. although the consent wasn't issued until 2019. And it is worth reminding ourselves of some of the advice that was put before us that day. The report said, this application is substantially a revision of the previous schemes approved by committee on this site. This consent will enable the construction or completion of the £150 million investment in Hirwaun and Ricos. Is proposed to be operational by 2019. The development will provide an estimated 200 full-time equivalent jobs through the energy from waste aspect of the scheme, as well as the high energy user who will be able to benefit directly from the excess heat that will be generated by the relevant processes. The proposed development will be integral to the £1 billion of investment in the energy sector that has been made, constructed or consented in and around the Cynon Valley. The proposal lies in close proximity to the Blaen Cynon Special Area of Conservation, while the scheme is still subject to a further consenting regime, EPR. It is considered that the applicant has reasonably demonstrated what any impact on the SAC can be appropriately mitigated. While the number of concerns have been raised through this and previous application, the report said it is considered the scheme will not have any significant impact on residential properties in the area. I'm reminding colleagues, Chair, of that because the height of the stack was specifically mentioned in relation to raising its height from 40 to 45 metres. The report said, raising the height of the consented but unbuilt emission stack at the centre of the site from 40 to 45 metres to ensure the effective dispersion of atmospheric emissions without interference to the airflow from the proposed gasification hole. The stack would also be increased in diameter from 2.5 to a maximum of 3.5 metres, which would enhance both its operational performance and structural integrity. So the way I read this today is that if everything previously consented will remain unaltered, then the present stack at 45 metres can cope with the emissions that the process will produce and which was signed off literally, but not finally, by Natural Resources Wales. So I see no reason for doubling the height of this stack. Chair, I wish this was only about planning process, and however well-intentioned recent commitments may have been made by Welsh Government ministers that they'll impose moratoriums on certain aspects of dealing with residual waste, that is not something that has been adopted in Planning Policy Wales. But it should be, and it should be done immediately. And maybe the minister should be invited to call in this application, whatever the outcome of committee's decision today, to see whether the massive change in the waste hierarchy over the last 10 years, recycling and reusing, which has massively reduced residual waste across Wales in that decade. There is, Chair, a duty on Welsh Government to now look at this application, and I don't know whether we can have some advice what the rules are regarding calling in, whatever the decision of this committee is, but I would welcome some officer indication of whether it can be called in and at what stage is it possible to do that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. I'll ask Mr Humphreys to come in there to answer that, Councillor Jarman, about the call-in. Mr Humphreys, I think.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the Welsh ministers can direct or can put a holding letter on the council or direct us not to determine it any time before we make the final determination of the matter. So today, if members resolve to approve in accordance with the officer's recommendation, planning permission would not be issued immediately because we have a section 106 to negotiate. So there'd be a period for the Welsh Minister to issue any such holding direction. If members are minded to refuse against officer's recommendation, as members of the committee are aware, we have a process where a report back is made to committee to ratify their decision and where officers will set out the reason for refusal for members to adopt. So whatever happens at the end of today, Chair, there will still be a period for
Welsh Ministers to call in the application if they so choose. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Mr Humphreys. Okay, I'll call in Councillor Gareth Hughes, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. In principle, the production of low carbon energy is something that I would support. As the report sets out on page 14, Future Wales 2020-2040 Policy 17 strongly supports the principle of developing renewable and low carbon energy from all technologies at all scale to meet our future energy needs. But of course, such a development should not have an adverse impact on a community or landscape. It's been unclear to me, however, it would seem that the doubling of the height of the stack from 45 to 90 metres is in order to achieve acceptable levels of emission in order to obtain the necessary permit, which may not be able to be reached with the current consent of 45 metres. If safe levels of emissions could be reached at 45 metres with no adverse impacts to residents or the environment, then I was of the opinion that on balance, the project was acceptable. However, having listened to the impassioned speeches by residents today and looking at the visuals provided by Mr. Jones, the 90-metre stack on balance, in my opinion, is completely unacceptable due to the impact on visual amenity, and I will be supporting Councillor Capel's motion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Powderhill.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I've listened to all the speakers. I've listened to the applicant. I've listened to the report from Mr. Jones. And one thing that did strike me, the applicant said dispersing emissions is a good thing. And the higher it goes, the more chance it has of having wind to disperse those emissions. That actually upset me a little bit, that the fact that we know there are emissions and we know they're going somewhere, so let's put it up higher so they'll blow further away. What if there's no wind? Well, you know, I know we do have wind in Wales, but not always. But I also know that we've been told not to really take that on board. So I haven't taken my decision on board of that, but it has made me think. The 90 metres is a considerable material change. 45 metres going up to 90 is double. The diameter is enlarged. Let's be honest, you know, I'm a professional photographer. If somebody said to me, that's going there, I would say I'm going to earn some money with Photoshop, because that's what it would mean. But unfortunately, the people living in Hirwaun, they haven't got Photoshop in their lives every day. They have to live with it. And I think that is unacceptable. So once again, I will support the motion to refuse. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Powderhill. Councillor Owen.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, well, I represent an area south of the border, you know, furthest away from this development. But listening to the concerns of residents, I will be voting against this application, and hopefully the development will be withdrawn. I think this is a development which isn't needed in the area and shouldn't have gone to this stage in the first place. So I'm quite happy to vote against this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. Councillor Julie Williams.
Sorry, Chair. I'm just trying to unmute. I don't know where my there we are. Beg your pardon. I wasn't going to speak because so much has been said that I agree with, but I do think that I have to say I won't be supporting this. All the arguments have been made very well, and especially those by the public speakers. You know, sometimes when you have that number of public speakers, you know, the arguments aren't always all good, but they were excellent. I learned a lot from them. So thank you very much, members of the public. And I will be voting to refuse the application. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Yeo.
Yeah, my opinion is rather similar to Councillor Hughes. I'm actually, you know, not against, I'm in favour of low carbon energy production. But I know that The issue here is just about the stack. 45 metres originally, 40 metres then up to 45. To me, this is a material change. One wonders why more consideration wasn't given when the initial application went in. I'm wondering whether it was more about, it was realised that there was a visually it would be obtrusive at 90 metres, and it was a halfway house to get where they wanted to go, really. 90 metres is a material difference. It would be a visible incongruous, and therefore I'll be supporting the motion on the basis just of the stack and the height of the stack, not of the plant itself and what it represents, but for the visual obtrusiveness of the application. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks. Councillor Graham.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Mae'r cynnig yma yn amlwg yn mynd yn groes I ddymuniadau y gymuned leol. Nawr, i ni wedi cael sawl enghraifft ar y pwyllgor yma lle dyn ni'n anwybyddu'r trigolion lleol, ond dwi'n meddwl, diolch byth, o rando ar yn cynghorwyr ni ar y pwyllgor yma, bod ni ar fi'n cymryd y bobl leol a'i llais nhw o ddifri. Mae rhaid ni ystyried deddfwriaeth cenedlaethau'r dyfodol. A petawn ni'n pleidleisio o blaid y stac 90 metr yma, byddwn ni'n diastyru hynny'n llwyr. Mae rhaid i ni ystyried teimladau pobl leol a dyfodol ein cymunedau lleol ni wrth gwneud ein penderfyniadau ni. A mae'r datblygiad yma o dyblu maint y stac yn amlwg yn mynd yn groes I hynny. Byddai'r effaith gweledol ar y gymuned leol yn hollol annerbyniol yn fy nhyb I, heblaw am y ffaith bod y cwmni wedi gweud mae yna allariadau peryglus yn mynd I ddod ohono fe. Gyn ni jyst rhoi nhw lan yn uwch so bod nhw'n gallu mynd yn bellach fyth. Yn debyg iawn I gynghorwyr eraill, dwi'n poen fawr am hynny. Ond fy mhrif pryder I yw yr effaith gweledol bydde hwn yn cael ar y tirwedd lleol. Dyn ni wedi gweld y lluniau a wedi gweld, rhan fwyaf mae yn erbyn cefndir, ond dyw hynny ddim yn golygu bod e'n anweledig, beth bynnag yw'r lliw. A mae hanner o bobl sy'n teithio heibio iddo fe, yn teithio ar y tir, lle mae yna yn erbyn yr awyr, ac yn hollol weladwy. Dwi'n hollol yn erbyn y datblygiad yma. Diolch.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. Councillor Bonetto.
Yes, I think the residents have spoken very eloquently on this application and have put their views forward, which I have to agree with quite a lot of them, bearing in mind that we are looking at the height of the stack, which I don't find acceptable. So I will be supporting the motion that Councillor Capel put forward against officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Bonetto. Okay, well, we have no other speakers on this item now, so we'll go straight to the vote. Just to recap for members, we are here to consider application number 200986 for the construction and use of a stack with associated pipework and a continuous emissions monitoring system gantry with ladder access at 5th Avenue, Hirwaun Industrial Estate, Hirwaun. The motion is to go against officer's recommendation and to not approve this application. So I'll call members in order. So Councillor Bonetto.
I will be going against officer's recommendation.
Councillor Capel.
In favour of the motion to refuse the application against officer's recommendations, Chair.
Councillor Graham.
O blaid cynnig cynghorydd Capel.
Councillor Hughes.
In line with Councillor Capel's motion against officer's recommendation, Chair.
Councillor Jarman.
To vote against officer recommendation, Chair.
Councillor Owen.
Vote against officer's recommendation, Chair.
Councillor Powderhill.
support the motion to refuse against officers' recommendation, Chair.
Councillor Williams.
Sorry, refuse, Chair. Can I have my name recorded as well, please? Thank you.
And Councillor Yeo.
In line with the motion against officers' recommendations to refuse. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. Can I go over to Mr Humphreys to sum up the decision of the committee?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, in the meeting, the members of the committee are minded to refuse the application on the grounds that it's inappropriate development and its impact on the landscape, and it will compromise visual amenity. Just for the benefit as well for the observers and of this meeting, that does not mean the application has been refused tonight. In accordance with procedures, there will be a report back to the committee on the merits of such a refusal with a specific reason for refusal for members to consider and decide whether they endorse that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Mr Humphreys. So as it's pointed out, it will come back to committee probably in 2 to 3 weeks' time now for members to consider the decisions for refusal. But thank you all very much for your contributions. It's been really helpful for members in determining this decision. Thank you all very much for your contributions. I'll now call the meeting to a close. Diolch.